friends, it's Marianna and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to share with you 5 different productivity tips for today's video. They are quite unusual tips, I would say, for the most part. They are tips that I use myself, so they are tried and tested, and without further ado, let's get started. The very first tip is to create a timed to-do list. So where this varies a little bit from your standard tip, which is just to create a to-do list and maybe to prioritize, is to allocate time to each task. The reason why I find this so helpful is because when I create my to-do list, I can get very overwhelmed with the amount of things that I see, but a lot of the times the things on my list can take me usually less than an hour, but even some will be like less than 15 minutes. And so let's say I have 4 different things that I can finish within 15 minutes or less each. That's only an hour for like 4 things already on my list. So seeing how much time it would take for each thing really helps me be like less overwhelmed and more productive, because the way I will tackle these tasks is whenever I'll be like, okay, so I have, let's say, 10 different tasks. Some take 15 minutes, some take 30, some maybe take an hour or 2. I will start with one task, and let's say that this task will take me 30 minutes to complete. I would then put a 30-minute timer when I go and do this task. So I'm kind of like in competition with myself and with the rest of my timed tasks, and it really motivates me to get more done and to get it done in that time. So let's say I have that 30-minute task, I'll set my timer. If I complete it in less time or just about, I'm really happy, I can tick it off. If it takes me longer, so the timer will go off, basically what I'll do is I'll then reassess. Like, is this task important enough that I should finish it now, or can I come back to it later and then just move on to my next like timed thing? So I find having a time to-do list is really helpful, because not only are you challenging yourself like throughout the day to kind of get it done, but once you finish writing your list and how much time it'll take for everything, you can see how much time you have. Maybe you have the whole day, or maybe you only have a little bit of time. So if I didn't have the whole day and maybe I only had like 2 or 3 hours slot to kind of get some things done, I can go on my to-do list and see what can I kind of fit in that time. So it's a really helpful way to stay productive on a day-to-day basis, because you might have a rolling to-do list. So it might not be your to-do list for that day, but maybe your to-do list for the week. And then let's say on Sunday you write down your to-do list and you have your allocated time. Throughout your week you can find those little like time gaps that you can fit those tasks, rather than being overwhelmed with the amount that you have to do and not being sure when you're going to have time to do it all. So yeah, a time to-do list is very helpful for if you want to set a list for the day and see how much you can get done, but also throughout the week or the month, and also to kind of challenge yourself and see if you can get all done in the time that you allocated it. My next tip for productivity is to manage your energy and not your time. Now I know it's kind of contradicting saying I literally just said allocate time and manage your time and all of that, but my next thing is all about focusing on your energy, and when I say that, I'm talking about your nutrition and your sleep. So whatever you eat and drink and the quality of your sleep. Both are important, managing your time and your energy, but if I had to only pick one, I would honestly pick your energy and basically focusing on your nutrition and sleep, because you will be more productive if you have enough energy in you, rather than just trying to allocate time, because you might have, you know, your time tasks, but if your energy isn't there, you won't be able to complete any of it. This is the most important tip, I think, is to manage your energy. So I'm going to kind of break that down for you. If I know I have to be really productive the next day, I will be really careful with when I go to sleep the night before, and also what I have for dinner, because if I have like a really heavy meal, maybe like unhealthy food, greasy things that I know I'm going to wake up feeling sluggish and bloated, that's not going to help my productivity the next day, because I'm already going to wake up with a bad start. Also, the time I go to sleep, or how many hours I have for my sleep, if I give myself very little sleep, like 4 or 5 hours, then the next day again I'm going to be feeling very tired and sluggish, so I'm already not starting off in the best point, and I will kind of have a crash in my like afternoon time, which we want to avoid. If you want to be really productive and you know you have, let's say, one day off or one day at work which is really busy and you have lots of things to get done, okay, so first you've allocated your time, great. Now for dinner, what are you going to have? Something that is going to be nutritious and something that's going to give you lots of energy. So find what that is for you, because it'll be different for everyone. Have that for dinner, make sure that you get enough hours of sleep, and then the morning of, make sure that you set yourself up for success. This is where I really want to talk to you guys about Magic Mind. In my past 2 videos I told you about my Magic Mind journey, and I can say it's going very well, because look at this. These are all done. I finished them all, my first pack, and I do have a second one on the way, which I'm very excited. But Magic Mind is kind of like a, not healthier, but it's kind of like a better caffeine for you. So it has like matcha, ashwagandha, L-theanine, different mushrooms. It's a very good drink. So if I start my day with something like this instead of a cup of coffee, I know that my energy will be sustainable throughout my day and I won't have a big crash. Same thing with what you eat for breakfast, maybe things like eggs, lots of protein, vitamin C, things like that that are going to keep you awake and give you energy. Very important. when coming to a productive day, it's not just about having a list, having the time to do it, it's also about having the energy. So make sure that you are having things that are very good for you. My third tip for managing your productivity is to physically step away from distractions. When I say physically, I mean it. If you can, be as physically far away from your distractions as possible. My example is unfortunately my phone. I'm very, very distracted by my phone and social media, and I really get into like doom scrolling, and I hate it. So what I like to do is, if I really have to be productive, like for example when I was planning out this video, I had my phone in this room, in my bedroom, and I was working in the living room. That was super helpful for me to be able to like kind of like get in the zone and focus, because even though I can put my phone on do not disturb, for example, and have it next to me, having it there like where I can grab it without having to move out of my seat is still really distracting, because I might want to just check one or two things and then I'll get into scrolling on one thing, opening a different app, seeing this, and it kind of like becomes doom scrolling, right? So having my phone physically away from me in a different room is really helpful, because for me to like physically have to get up and walk to a different room to check something, it has to be really important. I won't just do that for no reason. So that's something that works for me. Now, if your distraction might be something different, it might not be your phone. It might be maybe like a messy room. So if you can, clean your room. If not, physically get away from that room. Maybe go to a local cafe or a library. However you can, remove yourself from the distraction, and if possible, go physically away from it as much as you can, because trust me, it will really, really help. I don't like to admit it, like I mentioned with my phone, but it's true. It does distract me, and whenever I am physically apart from my phone, it's when I'm the most productive. My little activity for you here at this step is to find what is your productivity distraction. So what slows you down from being productive. After you've done that, I want to make like a little brainstorm map of different ideas of how you can remove that distraction from your life, or how you can like move away physically from it. So my fourth tip is to learn to say no. Now this isn't just a productivity tip, it's actually also like a people pleaser tip that I have worked a lot on over time, because I used to want to say yes to everyone and everything and be able to help everyone out. And it's not to say that I'm not a helpful person now, but I have set more clear boundaries with myself around what I can say yes to and what I have to say no to. Because if you say yes to everything, you're gonna spread yourself out too thin, and you're gonna basically be lacking time to be productive, but you're most likely also going to burn out because you just have too much to do. So to avoid burnout and to avoid not having enough time to be productive, you have to learn to say no. If you have to do something, make sure it's really important, it's something you have to get done, and make sure you have the time for it. So a lot of times we might not be able to say no to something, but then it's really important to go back and reassess what you have to do, maybe check your to-do list and say what can you replace that with, so that you are able to not spread yourself out too thin. So learning to say no and setting boundaries will be really, really crucial for your productivity levels, and to make sure that you can be your best self and your most productive self, because without rest we cannot be your most productive selves. And now my last tip for productivity is as refreshing as it is effective, and is to go for a short walk. Completely changing your scenery while doing something can really, really help you increase your productivity and also your creativity. Let's say if I'm sat somewhere, I have removed my distractions and everything's going well, I'm being productive, you might still want to kind of take yourself away from that environment and go for a little walk outside to get some fresh air, because it will help you then be even more productive when you come back to continue that task. Or maybe in between tasks you want to take a break so that you don't burn out as you're doing all of these individual tasks. Going for a short walk is a really helpful way to do that. Now, I have lived in the UK for almost 6 years now, so I know it's not reasonable everywhere to be able to go for a short walk whenever you want. Sometimes the weather is too horrible to do so. If it is just too cold, I would say try your best to layer up, take 5 minutes and go for a little walk. If it's just you physically cannot step outside, maybe again change your scenery. You can go to maybe take some transport or a car, or in your building go for a walk on the treadmill, maybe walking down the hallway, find like a library to go to or a cafe, and just kind of change your scenery if you can't go for a walk. But I find that the best one is going for a little walk. I've done that quite a few times as well myself, and it's super helpful. Also, I do recommend going for a walk without headphones when trying to be more productive, because it's gonna help you to kind of really be immersed in the outside world and kind of like really feel that new environment that you're in. And the great thing about a walk as an afternoon pick-me-up instead of like a coffee, for example, is that you're not going to have a horrible crash afterwards, and it's not going to mess up your sleeping pattern. If anything, it will only make it better. So highly recommend trying going for a walk in the middle of your day if you can, when you're feeling a little bit stuck or in between tasks, to help you refresh and clear your mind a little bit before moving on to the next thing, or before completing a bigger project or task. Those are all of my productivity tips for today. I really hope that you found at least one of these tips helpful and that it will help you increase your productivity. Don't forget to check out Magic Mind for energy and productivity boost. And if you have your own productivity tip that I did not mention, also leave that in the comments down below. I would love to check it out, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!